But none of that matters now.
No Furyan shall ever rule us.
I didn't come looking for war. I came...
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Riddick, Furya is the highly anticipated fourth installment in the Riddick franchise, an American science fiction action series that has captured the imaginations of audiences since the release of Pitch Black in 2000. This new film marks a return to the roots of the series, focusing on Riddick's origins and the fate of his long-lost people, the Furyans. The film is written and directed by David Twohy, who has been the creative force behind all previous entries in the franchise, and once again stars Vin Diesel in the role of Richard B. Riddick, the anti-hero whose reputation as a dangerous fugitive precedes him across the galaxy. Produced under Diesel's banner, One Race Films, in collaboration with other production partners and distributed by Universal Pictures, Riddick, Furya promises to blend the franchise's signature mix of dark, atmospheric storytelling, alien world-building, and brutal, survival-driven action sequences. Unlike previous films that focused primarily on Riddick navigating hostile planets, prisons, or dealing with the consequences of interstellar conflict, this installment places him at the center of a deeply personal journey, returning to his home planet, Furya, confronting the remnants of his race, and facing an enemy whose threat could redefine the destiny of his people. The narrative premise of Riddick, Furya revolves around the idea of homecoming and self-discovery. Riddick, having survived countless battles, near-death experiences, and the predations of enemies both human and alien, now seeks to reconnect with his origins. Furya, once a thriving world inhabited by a proud and powerful race, is now shrouded in uncertainty and devastation. The planet has faced attacks in the past from the Necromongers, the fanatical interstellar religious warriors featured in the Chronicles of Riddick, and potentially from other, as yet unseen forces. Riddick's journey back to Furya is not only a physical one but an emotional and psychological confrontation with his own past, his identity as a Furyan, and the legacy of his people. Early plot details suggest that Riddick will discover that the Furyans have not been entirely wiped out, and some members of his race are still struggling for survival. This introduces a dynamic where Riddick must navigate not only external threats but also complex interpersonal relationships with those who may either embrace him as a savior or resent him as the survivor of a tragedy that claimed so many. The film promises to explore elements of Riddick's backstory that have been hinted at but never fully explained in earlier films. His abilities, his resilience, and his connection to the Furyan bloodline are likely to take center stage, with the narrative emphasizing both the physical and spiritual aspects of his heritage. Fans can expect revelations about the Furyan culture, their societal structure, and perhaps why Riddick survived when so many others perished. In addition to the personal stakes, the story introduces a new external threat to Furya, creating tension and high stakes for both Riddick and his fellow Furyans. This duality, internal identity exploration coupled with external survival challenges, sets the stage for a story that is both intimate and epic in scope, blending introspective character development with the franchise's trademark action-packed sequences and high-concept sci-fi visuals. The cast of Riddick, Furya remains largely under wraps, with Vin Diesel confirmed as Riddick. Diesel's portrayal of the character has been consistent across all films, combining physicality, intimidation, and a laconic, almost existential approach to dialogue that has become a defining characteristic of the series. Rumors have circulated about returning characters from the Chronicles of Riddick, though no official confirmations have been released. Other new characters are expected to be introduced, particularly members of the Furyan race who survived the catastrophic attacks on their home world. These characters may serve as allies, adversaries, or complex moral foils to Riddick, further enriching the narrative. Director David Twohy, known for his meticulous world-building and interest in character-driven storytelling, is expected to craft a narrative that balances the spectacle of sci-fi action with the intimate stakes of personal and cultural survival. Production of the film has reportedly taken place in various international locations, including Germany, Spain, and the United Kingdom, leveraging both practical landscapes and CGI to create the alien environment central to the story. This combination of on-location filming and digital effects aims to maintain the immersive, gritty realism the franchise is known for, while expanding the visual scope to encompass the alien terrains of Furya and the surrounding interstellar settings. Stefan Supek has been attached as cinematographer, suggesting a visual style that will likely emphasize shadowy, high-contrast imagery, dynamic action sequences, and sweeping alien vistas. The production team's approach indicates a desire to preserve the franchise's distinct visual identity while elevating it to new levels appropriate for the story's epic narrative stakes. Thematically, Riddick, Furya appears poised to delve into questions of identity, legacy, and belonging. Throughout the previous films, Riddick has existed as a loner, a survivor, and a hunted individual, navigating moral ambiguity and physical peril. This installment, by placing him in the context of his origins and his people, creates opportunities for richer exploration of his psyche. Questions about leadership, responsibility, and the nature of survival are likely to arise, particularly as Riddick confronts the possibility that his people may need him not just as a warrior but as a symbol of their continuity. The dual focus on Riddick's internal journey and the external threat to Furya aligns with modern storytelling trends in sci-fi action, where character development and narrative spectacle are integrated to create both emotional resonance and cinematic excitement. The release date for Riddick, Furya has not been officially confirmed, though industry speculation places it sometime in 2025 or later. As of now, there is no official trailer available, and promotional materials are minimal, leaving fans to rely on brief synopses, production stills, and director interviews for insights into the film's direction. Despite the scarcity of official marketing, the anticipation for the film is high, largely due to the cult following of the Riddick franchise and the enduring popularity of Vin Diesel's portrayal of the central character. This anticipation is fueled further by the promise of exploring the Furyan home world in depth, which has been a long-standing point of curiosity for fans since the first film introduced the mysterious and powerful nature of Riddick's abilities. The narrative trajectory of Riddick, Furya suggests a blend of high-octane action sequences with moments of introspection and world-building. Based on the franchise's history, audiences can expect brutal hand-to-hand combat, tense chase sequences, and inventive uses of alien environments. At the same time, the film seems likely to include quieter, reflective moments where Riddick grapples with questions of loyalty, identity, and the ethical implications of survival. These thematic elements, combined with the visual spectacle and the character-driven focus, indicate that Riddick, Furya will be both a continuation of the franchise's established appeal and a potential deepening of its narrative complexity. The broader context of the franchise situates this film within a universe that blends science fiction, action, and horror elements. Pitch Black introduced audiences to a dark, hostile alien world where survival was the primary concern, while the Chronicles of Riddick expanded the universe into interstellar politics and religious fanaticism, and Riddick returned to a more focused survival story with intense, claustrophobic action. Riddick, Furya appears to synthesize these elements by combining large-scale world-building with intimate character focus, exploring both the macro-level threats to Furya and the micro-level personal challenges facing Riddick as a sole survivor of his people. This dual approach allows the film to appeal both to longtime fans seeking continuity and newcomers attracted to high-concept sci-fi action storytelling. As the film progresses through production, attention will likely focus on how it balances practical effects with digital enhancements, the depth of the Furyan lore, and the evolution of Riddick as a character. The choice to center the story on his home world creates a rich canvas for exploring new alien species, cultural practices, and environmental challenges unique to Furya. Additionally, the exploration of Riddick's identity may provide opportunities for moral and philosophical questions to emerge, particularly concerning leadership, responsibility, and the ethical dimensions of survival in a hostile universe. The production of Riddick, Furya has been characterized by a careful blending of international filming locations, practical effects, and digital enhancements, reflecting both the scale of the story and the grounded, gritty aesthetic that the franchise has cultivated over the years. Filming reportedly took place across Germany, Spain, and the United Kingdom, selected for their diverse landscapes capable of representing the alien terrains of Furya and other interstellar settings integral to the narrative. The choice of these locations is significant. While Furya is a fictional world, the filmmakers aim to imbue it with a sense of realism through tangible, physical environments that can be enhanced with CGI to create a sense of otherworldly danger and beauty. Such a combination allows for sweeping panoramic shots of rugged alien terrain, claustrophobic interiors for tense survival sequences, and immersive depictions of futuristic architecture reminiscent of previous Riddick films' interstellar civilizations. Cinematographer Stefan Supek's involvement suggests a visual style emphasizing contrast, shadows, and dynamic action sequences, maintaining the visual continuity of the series while introducing new aesthetic dimensions for Furya and the other planets Riddick encounters. From a narrative perspective, the return to Furya enables the filmmakers to expand the lore of the Riddick universe significantly. Previous films, particularly the Chronicles of Riddick, touched upon the Furyan people, portraying them as a proud, warrior-like species virtually wiped out by the necromongers. Their culture, language, and societal structure were only glimpsed, leaving much to the imagination. In Furya, there is an opportunity to explore these elements more thoroughly. The surviving Furyans, their social hierarchy, traditions, and methods of combat could serve as a narrative anchor for the film, creating a contrast between Riddick, who has lived largely in isolation, and the community that has continued without him. This setup naturally introduces internal conflicts. Riddick may struggle to reconcile his outsider perspective with the expectations of his people, while the Furyans may wrestle with trust, leadership, and the implications of his return. These interpersonal dynamics are likely to be a key component of the story, offering a richer, character-driven experience alongside the high-octane action sequences. Thematically, the film is expected to delve deeply into the duality of survival versus responsibility. Throughout the franchise, Riddick has existed as a lone survivor, someone who relies on his physical abilities, cunning, and instinct to navigate hostile environments. Now, with the stakes extending to an entire civilization, his actions carry weight beyond personal survival. This raises questions about moral responsibility. What does it mean for a single individual to hold power over the fate of a people? How does one balance personal freedom with communal obligation? These philosophical questions have always been an undercurrent in the Riddick series, but Furya seems poised to make them central to the narrative. By juxtaposing intense, visceral action with contemplative character moments, the filmmakers can explore not just what Riddick does, but why he does it, and what it means for his identity as a Furyan and as a human being shaped by extraordinary circumstances. The introduction of a new enemy, reportedly distinct from the necromongers, adds layers of tension and complexity to the narrative. While the details about this antagonist remain under wraps, the framing suggests a threat both formidable and morally ambiguous, designed to challenge Riddick physically and strategically. This enemy may represent a civilization, a mercenary force, or a previously unseen alien species, creating opportunities for suspenseful and inventive combat sequences that are characteristic of the franchise. By presenting a challenge that cannot be overcome through brute force alone, the film encourages Riddick to engage with strategic thinking, alliances, and perhaps moral compromise, thereby deepening his character arc. This narrative choice ensures that Furya is not simply an action spectacle but a story with stakes that resonate on both personal and societal levels. From a casting perspective, Vin Diesel remains the cornerstone of the film, embodying the character of Riddick with a combination of physicality, gravitas, and a laconic style of speech that has become emblematic of the franchise. While other cast members have not been officially confirmed, speculation abounds regarding potential returning characters and new actors portraying Furyans and other interstellar figures. The inclusion of new Furyans introduces the possibility of complex dynamics. Allies may challenge Riddick's leadership or question his motives, while other characters may serve as mirrors or foils, highlighting aspects of his personality that have remained dormant during his years in isolation. In addition to the human characters, the franchise's history suggests the presence of alien species or genetically altered humans, adding layers of diversity and narrative intrigue to the story. This ensemble of characters, whether confirmed or speculative, provides a canvas for exploring themes of trust, loyalty, survival, and identity, ensuring that the film's emotional and narrative stakes remain high throughout. Technologically, the film's use of visual effects is expected to be sophisticated but purposeful, enhancing rather than overwhelming the practical elements of the story. Previous entries in the franchise have balanced CGI with practical effects to maintain a sense of realism, whether in depicting alien creatures, futuristic technology, or expansive interstellar environments. Furya appears poised to continue this approach, leveraging modern advances in visual effects to bring the alien world of Furya to life in vivid detail. The depiction of Furya itself will likely be integral to the narrative, with environmental storytelling providing context for the history of the Furyans, the devastation wrought by prior conflicts, and the challenges that Riddick and his people must confront. By treating the planet almost as a character in its own right, the filmmakers can enhance immersion and provide a tangible sense of place that enriches the narrative. The absence of an official release date and trailer has contributed to the film's mystique, generating speculation and heightened anticipation among fans. The Riddick franchise has always cultivated a dedicated audience, and the promise of finally exploring Riddick's origins and his home world serves as a major draw. Marketing strategies may emphasize the return of Vin Diesel, the exploration of Furyan culture, and the introduction of a new interstellar threat, creating a sense of both continuity and novelty. The careful management of information suggests that the filmmakers intend to control the narrative surrounding the film's release, building excitement through selective revelations rather than broad early disclosure. In terms of franchise continuity, Furya represents both a culmination and a new beginning. It addresses long-standing questions about Riddick's past and the Furyans while setting the stage for potential future stories within the same universe. By reconciling the characters' individualistic tendencies with the needs of a broader civilization, the film opens narrative possibilities for sequels, spin-offs, or expanded universe projects. Additionally, the integration of high-concept sci-fi elements, moral dilemmas, and character-driven storytelling aligns with contemporary trends in genre filmmaking, where audiences increasingly expect layered narratives that combine spectacle with intellectual and emotional engagement. In conclusion, Riddick, Furya is shaping up to be a transformative entry in the Riddick franchise, combining high-stakes action, intricate world-building, and profound explorations of identity, survival, and responsibility. By returning Riddick to his home world and challenging him with both internal and external conflicts, the film promises to deliver a rich, immersive, and emotionally resonant experience for both longtime fans and newcomers. While many details remain speculative, the combination of David Twohy's directorial vision, Vin Diesel's enduring portrayal of the anti-hero, and the creative team's commitment to balancing practical and digital effects suggests that Furya will be a cinematic event that honors the legacy of the franchise while pushing it into new narrative and thematic territory. Building on the established narrative of Riddick's return to Furya, the film is likely to explore the societal and cultural remnants of the Furyans in detail. In previous films, the Furyans were depicted as a warrior race, genetically gifted, and almost extinct due to the devastating campaigns of the Necromongers. In Furya, surviving Furyans are expected to form tight-knit communities, perhaps living in secluded or fortified areas of the planet, maintaining the remnants of their cultural identity while fending off existential threats. Their interactions with Riddick could highlight contrasts between his outsider perspective, shaped by years of survival in hostile environments, and the collective experience of those who remained behind. These dynamics allow the story to explore questions of leadership, belonging, and the ethical use of power, especially as Riddick, the lone survivor, may be seen as both a symbol of hope and a reminder of loss. The alien environments of Furya are likely to be depicted with a combination of barren landscapes, hostile natural elements, and remnants of futuristic technology or ruins, suggesting a once thriving civilization now scarred by conflict. This world building serves multiple purposes. It visually reinforces the stakes, provides opportunities for inventive action sequences, and acts as a narrative metaphor for Riddick's internal journey. As he navigates treacherous terrain, encounters hostile creatures, and confronts both human and alien adversaries, the audience is simultaneously exploring his psychological landscape. The tension between survival instincts and moral or cultural obligations forms the backbone of the narrative, giving depth to the high-octane sequences the franchise is known for. The new antagonist mentioned in early descriptions, distinct from the Necromongers, is an element that allows for narrative expansion and unpredictability. While the details are undisclosed, this enemy is presumably intelligent, resourceful, and capable of challenging Riddick not just physically but strategically and morally. Their presence introduces a dual narrative arc, the external struggle to protect the Furians and the internal struggle to reconcile Riddick's instinctive self-interest with his newfound responsibilities. This duality can lead to rich dramatic tension, as the film can explore alliances, betrayals, and ethical dilemmas. By presenting Riddick with opponents who require more than brute force to defeat, the story challenges him to evolve, highlighting the growth of a character previously defined by survivalist pragmatism. In terms of action sequences, Furya is expected to deliver the franchise's signature blend of visceral combat and creative use of environments. Past films have combined hand-to-hand combat, firearms, and alien technology to create tension-filled encounters, and this installment is likely to build on that formula. Expect sequences set in dense alien forests, rugged mountains, or ruined cities, where Riddick's agility, combat skill, and cunning are tested to the limit. These sequences are likely interspersed with quieter moments of reflection, negotiation, and personal confrontation, maintaining narrative balance while ensuring that the film never loses its action-driven momentum. The interplay between action and introspection may also serve to heighten the emotional stakes, making Riddick's victories, and losses, more impactful for the audience. One of the most compelling aspects of Furya is its exploration of Riddick's identity and lineage. The film offers a rare opportunity to examine the genetic, cultural, and spiritual elements of the Furyan race, potentially revealing how Riddick's abilities are tied to his heritage. This may include his physical prowess, enhanced senses, and survival instincts, which have defined him throughout the series. Beyond physical traits, the narrative may explore Furyan values, traditions, and philosophies, contrasting them with the practical, sometimes ruthless morality Riddick has developed through his experiences. By confronting the legacy of his people, Riddick is forced to reflect on his own place in the universe, his responsibilities to others, and the choices that have shaped his life. Production-wise, the integration of practical effects with CGI will be critical in achieving the immersive quality the franchise is known for. Creature design, alien architecture, and environmental hazards are expected to be rendered in ways that feel both fantastical and tangible, enhancing audience immersion. The use of physical sets for key sequences ensures that actors can interact naturally with their surroundings, while CGI enhances scale, danger, and visual spectacle. Director David Twohy's experience with blending these elements in previous Riddick films suggests that Furya will maintain a cohesive aesthetic, balancing realism and otherworldly imagination. Lighting, camera angles, and cinematographic techniques are also expected to reinforce the film's tone, dark, tense, and visually striking, while emphasizing the isolation and intensity of Riddick's journey. The film's narrative may also explore moral ambiguity and the costs of leadership. As the last or one of the few surviving Furians, Riddick may face dilemmas involving life-or-death decisions for his people. Should he risk his own survival to protect them? Should he attempt to unify them against their enemies, potentially challenging his natural independence? These questions resonate with broader philosophical themes about duty, sacrifice, and personal freedom, adding layers of complexity to what might otherwise be a straightforward action narrative. By framing these issues within a high-stakes sci-fi context, Furya encourages viewers to engage with Riddick as a fully realized character, grappling with existential questions while navigating tangible threats. Another likely narrative thread involves the relationships Riddick forms with new characters introduced in the film. Allies, adversaries, and morally complex figures may provide both narrative tension and opportunities for character growth. These relationships could challenge Riddick's usual self-reliance, forcing him to confront trust, cooperation, and the consequences of his decisions. Such interactions may also serve to expand the franchise universe, hinting at interstellar politics, rivalries, and alliances beyond Furya itself. By situating Riddick within a broader social context, the film deepens its world-building while creating opportunities for sequels or spin-off stories. The cultural significance of Furya within the franchise cannot be understated. For over 2 decades, fans have speculated about Riddick's origins, the fate of the Furians, and the full extent of his abilities. By focusing on his home planet, the film addresses long-standing narrative questions while providing a fresh perspective on the character's journey. It is a culmination of the franchise's ongoing exploration of survival, identity, and morality, blending action-driven storytelling with reflective character arcs. This focus also opens avenues for exploring themes such as heritage, environmental stewardship, and the consequences of violence on both individuals and societies, giving the film thematic depth alongside its visual spectacle. Finally, the anticipation surrounding Riddick, Furya is amplified by the secrecy surrounding its release and marketing. Without an official trailer or confirmed release date, fans rely on production updates, interviews, and speculation to piece together expectations. This strategy maintains suspense and generates discussion, reinforcing the cult status of the Riddick franchise. Once released, the film is expected to resonate not only for its action and spectacle but also for its character-driven narrative, thematic richness, and contributions to the larger sci-fi canon. It represents both a continuation of a beloved series and a bold narrative step, potentially redefining Riddick's story while honoring the legacy of the previous films. As Riddick, Furya unfolds, the opening sequences likely establish a stark contrast between Riddick's current life in isolation and the world he left behind. The film may begin with him navigating a hostile, alien environment, perhaps a barren planet or a prison-like setting reminiscent of Pitch Black, which highlights his survival instincts, combat skills, and self-reliance. These initial moments serve not only as an action set-piece to engage audiences immediately but also as a narrative framing device, emphasizing how far Riddick has come from the Furyan society he barely remembers. A sense of nostalgia, loss, and anticipation is introduced through visual storytelling, wide shots of alien landscapes that evoke the vastness and solitude of his universe, interspersed with flashbacks or hints of Furya's former glory. Through these sequences, the audience begins to understand the psychological weight of Riddick's journey, not merely a physical quest but a deeply personal odyssey to confront his past and define his legacy. Upon arrival at Furya, the narrative likely transitions to the depiction of surviving Furyans and their communities. These survivors, though diminished in number, retain vestiges of their martial traditions, spiritual beliefs, and societal hierarchies. Their settlements may be fortified or hidden, reflecting centuries of defensive adaptation against external threats. In interactions with Riddick, a complex dynamic emerges. Some may revere him as the embodiment of their lost heritage, while others may distrust or resent him as an outsider who left them to struggle without guidance. Such interpersonal conflicts provide fertile ground for exploring themes of trust, identity, and leadership. Riddick's role as a reluctant savior forces him to balance instinctive pragmatism with the ethical and cultural demands of a civilization that views him as a living legend. The presence of a new, unspecified antagonist introduces narrative tension that drives the central conflict. This enemy is likely to possess intelligence, strategic foresight, and technological advantages, compelling Riddick and the Furyans to adapt beyond sheer physical confrontation. The antagonist's motives may be tied to control over Furya, exploitation of its resources, or a broader interstellar ambition. Their appearance could catalyze alliances and rivalries within the Furyan communities, further complicating Riddick's mission. Strategically, this foe may use guerrilla tactics, environmental manipulation, or subterfuge to challenge Riddick's combat-oriented approach, forcing him to reconcile instinct with tactical planning. These challenges elevate the story from conventional action to a layered conflict that intertwines physical danger, moral choices, and cultural survival. Action sequences are anticipated to be intricately choreographed and visually striking. The franchise's tradition of combining hand-to-hand combat with weaponry and environmental hazards will likely continue, enhanced by modern CGI and practical effects integration. Battles may occur across rugged terrains, crumbling structures, and alien ecosystems, highlighting Riddick's agility, cunning, and resilience. The physicality of these encounters serves a dual narrative function, showcasing Riddick's abilities while emphasizing the stakes for his people. Interspersed with these confrontations are quieter sequences where Riddick interacts with the Furyans, reflecting on their culture and grappling with moral dilemmas. The alternation between intense action and introspection ensures that the film maintains tension while deepening character development. Furyan culture, as revealed in Furya, is expected to be multifaceted, combining martial discipline, spiritual traditions, and a deep connection to their home world. Clothing, architecture, language, and rituals may all reflect their history and values. Visual storytelling could emphasize symbolic elements, such as ceremonial armor, ancestral monuments, or sacred spaces, that reinforce the sense of heritage and identity. The film may also depict unique combat styles, tactical formations, and societal codes that distinguish Furians from other interstellar civilizations, providing narrative richness and a visually compelling depiction of Riddick's origins. These cultural details serve not only as world-building but also as narrative tools, framing Riddick's personal journey within a broader socio-cultural context. Cinematically, Furya is expected to employ a variety of techniques to create immersive storytelling. Lighting and color palettes may differentiate between flashbacks, present action sequences, and Furyan cultural spaces, subtly guiding the audience's emotional response. Dynamic camera angles, close-ups, and tracking shots could be used during combat or chase sequences to convey immediacy and danger. Conversely, wide-angle and aerial shots of Furya's landscapes may emphasize scale, isolation, and the stakes of survival. Sound design will likely combine environmental audio, alien creature effects, and a musical score that blends orchestral and electronic elements, enhancing both tension and thematic resonance. These technical elements, combined with narrative pacing, ensure that Furya delivers both spectacle and emotional depth. Throughout the film, Riddick's internal conflict remains central. His interactions with the Furians may force him to reflect on his choices, reconsider his instinct for solitude, and embrace a reluctant sense of responsibility. The narrative likely explores the psychological burden of survival, examining how his unique abilities set him apart yet connect him to the legacy of his people. Moments of decision-making, whether to engage in battle, negotiate with allies, or confront his enemies, serve to illustrate the complexity of Riddick's character, offering audiences insight into both his strengths and vulnerabilities. These elements elevate the film beyond standard action fare, presenting a layered character study within a high-stakes sci-fi framework. Speculatively, key sequences may include Riddick leading Furyan forces against invaders, navigating treacherous terrain to rescue or rally his people, and confronting personal adversaries who test his moral and strategic acumen. Climactic scenes might feature a combination of environmental hazards, large-scale combat, and moral reckoning, culminating in a resolution that reaffirms Riddick's connection to his heritage while leaving room for future narrative exploration. The film's structure is expected to balance pacing, alternating high-intensity action with reflective, character-driven moments, ensuring that audiences remain engaged both emotionally and viscerally. In terms of thematic resonance, Furya continues the franchise's exploration of survival, identity, and morality while introducing new dimensions of legacy, leadership, and cultural preservation. By situating Riddick within his home world and among his people, the film examines the intersection of individual capability and communal responsibility, highlighting the tension between instinctive self-preservation and ethical obligations to others. This thematic depth, combined with the franchise's signature action and sci-fi world building, positions Furya as both a continuation and an evolution of the Riddick narrative, appealing to longtime fans and potentially drawing in new audiences through its layered storytelling and cinematic spectacle. As Riddick navigates Furya, supporting characters are likely to play a pivotal role in both the plot and the development of his character. These characters may include surviving Furians, each representing different aspects of their culture, values, and history. Some may be warriors who view Riddick as a natural leader, while others could be skeptics, wary of the outsider who left them behind during the cataclysm that nearly destroyed their civilization. These interpersonal dynamics will create tension, conflict, and opportunities for alliance building. Additionally, the introduction of younger Furians or those unacquainted with Riddick's legacy may provide a narrative mirror, forcing him to confront the consequences of past decisions and the responsibility he carries as the last or one of the few survivors of his lineage. The supporting cast may also include non-Furian allies or even defectors from opposing factions, adding layers of complexity and moral ambiguity to the story. The political and interstellar context of Furya may expand the narrative beyond the confines of the planet itself. The Furians' survival may carry implications for neighboring civilizations or interstellar powers, such as remnants of the Necromonger Empire or other spacefaring factions introduced in previous films. These external forces may view Riddick and the Furians as a threat, a potential resource, or a destabilizing factor in regional power dynamics. The inclusion of interstellar politics adds narrative depth, allowing the story to explore themes of sovereignty, survival, and the consequences of cultural preservation in a galaxy rife with conflict. It also raises stakes for Riddick, as decisions made on Furya may have ripple effects far beyond the planet, compelling him to balance immediate survival with long-term strategic thinking. Environmental hazards on Furya are likely to be significant narrative and cinematic elements. Previous films have emphasized the dangers of alien ecosystems, from predatory creatures to extreme climate conditions, and Furya is expected to continue this tradition. Rugged terrains, treacherous mountains, toxic atmospheres, and volatile weather could serve as both obstacles and storytelling devices, highlighting Riddick's adaptability and resourcefulness. These challenges provide opportunities for suspenseful sequences and inventive combat scenarios, forcing Riddick to leverage both his physical abilities and tactical intelligence. The environment itself may be imbued with narrative significance, reflecting the planet's history, the resilience of its people, and the stakes of preserving Furyan heritage. Alien species, both hostile and neutral, are likely to play a major role in shaping the story. These creatures may be native to Furya, remnants of prior invasions, or engineered by external enemies to challenge the Furians. Their presence introduces additional layers of threat and unpredictability, requiring Riddick to apply his unique combat skills and ingenuity. Encounters with alien life forms may also serve as metaphorical reflections of Riddick's own struggle, both as a predator and a protector, highlighting the tension between survival instincts and ethical choices. The design and behavior of these species can provide visual spectacle while enriching the narrative with ecological and cultural dimensions, illustrating the interconnectedness of Furya's environment and its inhabitants. Futuristic technology, both of the Furians and their enemies, is likely to feature prominently in the film's action and plot development. Advanced weaponry, transportation devices, surveillance systems, and protective gear may be depicted as tools that shape the strategic landscape of the conflict. The interplay between technology and Riddick's innate abilities, enhanced vision, agility, and combat proficiency, creates a dynamic tension, showcasing his ingenuity and adaptability. Technology may also serve narrative purposes, revealing historical information about Furya, recording past events, or acting as a key plot device that drives Riddick's decisions. By integrating technology seamlessly into the story, the filmmakers can maintain the science fiction framework while emphasizing the character-driven and action-oriented aspects of the narrative. Speculative scenes may include Riddick leading strategic missions to reclaim key territories, protect vulnerable Furyan populations, or dismantle the operations of the antagonist. These sequences can interweave action, suspense, and moral decision-making, illustrating how Riddick balances the immediate tactical challenges with longer-term responsibilities. The film may also depict moments of cultural and spiritual significance, such as ceremonies, rites of passage, or ancestral commemorations, reinforcing the themes of heritage and identity. Through these layered narrative elements, Riddick's journey is framed not just as a physical quest but as an odyssey of self-discovery and societal responsibility. Visually and cinematically, Furya is likely to employ a mixture of practical sets, CGI, and immersive cinematography to convey scale, danger, and atmosphere. The interplay of lighting, shadows, and color palettes can delineate between different environments, moods, and narrative tones. Close-ups and handheld shots may enhance tension during combat, while wide-angle and aerial sequences can establish the vastness of Furya and the magnitude of the conflict. Sound design, including ambient environmental audio, alien creature effects, and an adaptive musical score, can further immerse audiences in the world, creating an experience that is simultaneously thrilling, emotionally resonant, and narratively rich. The conclusion of the film, while speculative, may see Riddick solidifying his connection with the Furians, establishing his role as protector or leader, and confronting the antagonist in a climactic resolution that balances action with moral reckoning. The outcome may preserve the franchise's signature ambiguity, highlighting both triumph and cost, while opening avenues for future stories within the same universe. By blending high-octane action, intricate world-building, and character-driven thematic exploration, Riddick, Furya is positioned to both satisfy longtime fans and expand the narrative potential of the Riddick saga. Speculatively, Riddick, Furya may open with a series of high-tension sequences that establish both Riddick's current skill set and the broader stakes of the story. He could be shown navigating a hostile, alien environment that reflects the harsh conditions he has mastered over decades, showcasing his agility, enhanced senses, and combat expertise. These opening sequences serve multiple purposes. They reintroduce audiences to the character's lethal abilities, demonstrate the lethal nature of his environment, and create an immediate sense of danger and urgency. Interspersed with these action beats may be glimpses of his memories, fragmented visions of Furya's past grandeur, or brief encounters with survivors who foreshadow the political and social challenges he will face upon arrival. This combination of action and reflective storytelling establishes the dual narrative arcs that drive the film: the external conflict against adversaries and environmental hazards, and the internal conflict surrounding Riddick's identity, legacy, and responsibilities. Upon reaching Furya, the narrative likely shifts to a more deliberate exploration of the surviving Furyans and their societal structures. Scenes may depict fortified settlements or hidden enclaves where Furyans have preserved knowledge, culture, and martial traditions. Riddick's arrival could be met with mixed reactions: awe, suspicion, and resentment. Through dialogue, subtle gestures, and inter-character tension, the film could explore the nuanced dynamics of trust, authority, and legacy. Riddick may be forced to participate in rituals or trials that test his commitment, skill, or moral judgment, providing both narrative depth and opportunities for visually striking sequences. These cultural interactions would emphasize the complexity of the Furyan society while highlighting Riddick's internal struggle to reconcile his solitary, survival-driven life with the communal values of his people. The introduction of the primary antagonist, an as-yet unspecified force, sets the stage for escalating conflict. Scenes might depict reconnaissance missions, skirmishes, and ambushes where Riddick's strategic and combat abilities are tested. The antagonist's methods, ranging from direct confrontation to manipulation of the environment or exploitation of Furyan weaknesses, could serve to heighten tension and challenge Riddick's reliance on instinct and brute force. Such encounters also allow the supporting Furyans to demonstrate their own strengths, creating sequences of collaborative action that reinforce the themes of unity and interdependence. These sequences balance spectacle with narrative purpose, ensuring that action serves the story rather than existing purely for visual thrill. In terms of character development, Furya likely dedicates sequences to exploring the internal conflicts of both Riddick and key supporting characters. Some Furyans may struggle with loyalty, questioning whether they should follow Riddick's guidance or assert independence. Others may harbor personal vendettas or past grievances, creating tension that tests alliances. Riddick himself may be faced with ethical dilemmas, whether to prioritize his own survival, intervene to protect the vulnerable, or pursue broader strategic objectives. Through these interactions, the film explores themes of leadership, moral responsibility, and identity, emphasizing that survival in Furya is as much about navigating human, or Furyan, relationships as it is about overcoming physical threats. Environmental hazards on Furya provide both narrative tension and visual spectacle. Scenes may depict Riddick and the Furyans traversing jagged terrain, surviving extreme weather, or contending with native predators. These hazards serve as externalized representations of the challenges facing the Furyans as a species, reinforcing the stakes of survival while highlighting Riddick's adaptability and resourcefulness. Additionally, the environment itself may act as a narrative device, revealing historical or cultural information about the Furyans through ruins, artifacts, or sacred spaces, thereby integrating world-building seamlessly into the plot. Technology, both Furyan and alien, is likely to play a key role in strategic and combat sequences. Scenes may involve Riddick employing Furyan weaponry, modifying existing technology, or adapting to enemy devices. The interplay of high-tech and low-tech elements could highlight Riddick's ingenuity and versatility, emphasizing that intelligence and adaptability are as important as brute strength. Furthermore, technology may be used to reveal plot-critical information, such as the history of Furya, enemy movements, or the nature of the antagonist's plans, integrating seamlessly into both action and exposition. Visually, the film is likely to employ a sophisticated blend of cinematography, lighting, and effects to create immersive sequences. Handheld and dynamic camera work may heighten tension during combat or chase scenes, while wide-angle shots and aerial perspectives emphasize scale and isolation. The contrast between shadowed interiors and brightly lit alien landscapes could reinforce thematic elements of danger, hope, and discovery. Sound design and musical scoring may alternate between tense, suspense-driven cues during combat and atmospheric, reflective tones during moments of introspection or cultural exploration, enhancing both emotional and narrative resonance. Towards the climax, the narrative may converge into a series of high-stakes confrontations where Riddick, the Furyans, and the antagonist engage in both physical and strategic battles. These sequences are likely to interweave action with ethical decision-making, illustrating Riddick's evolution from solitary survivor to leader and protector. Resolution may involve not only the defeat or neutralization of the antagonist but also a reaffirmation of Riddick's connection to his people and his role within Furyan society. This conclusion would serve to close narrative arcs while preserving the franchise's hallmark ambiguity regarding long-term consequences, leaving space for future stories, sequels, or expanded universe projects. The film may also include subtle post-credit sequences or hints at broader interstellar implications, teasing potential sequels or expansions of the Riddick universe. These sequences could introduce new adversaries, reveal hidden elements of Furyan culture, or suggest unresolved political tensions, maintaining audience interest and engagement beyond the immediate narrative. By doing so, Furya positions itself not merely as a standalone story but as a pivotal chapter in a larger, ongoing saga, bridging past films with potential future developments. The mythology and spiritual beliefs of the Furyans are likely to play a significant narrative and thematic role in Riddick, Furya. While previous films only hinted at the Furyans' cultural depth, this installment has the potential to explore their traditions, rituals, and worldview in detail. Furyans may revere ancestral spirits, celestial phenomena, or the planet itself as sacred. Ceremonial sites, monuments, or relics could be used to convey both the grandeur of their former civilization and the enduring resilience of their culture despite near extinction. Scenes depicting rites of passage, combat training infused with spiritual significance, or collective rituals could provide visual spectacle while reinforcing the themes of identity, heritage, and communal responsibility. For Riddick, exposure to these practices may evoke both reverence and internal conflict, as he navigates the tension between his solitary, survival-focused life and the expectations of his people. These cultural explorations also serve a narrative function, grounding the high-concept sci-fi action in an emotionally resonant human, or Furyan, context, giving audiences a deeper understanding of the stakes beyond physical survival. The alien ecosystems of Furya are anticipated to be as intricate and dangerous as those featured in the previous films. Riddick may encounter predators uniquely adapted to Furya's harsh environments, from nocturnal hunters capable of blending seamlessly with shadows to massive territorial beasts that dominate the planet's rugged landscapes. Flora may also be treacherous, with carnivorous plants, toxic spores, or extreme climate zones challenging Riddick and his allies at every turn. These environmental hazards not only heighten tension but function as narrative devices, testing Riddick's ingenuity, agility, and leadership. Encounters with these creatures or environmental dangers can also be used metaphorically, reflecting Riddick's internal battles, the fragility of his people, and the precarious balance between survival and moral responsibility. Riddick's psychological and moral evolution is central to the narrative. Throughout the franchise, he has been defined by self-reliance, pragmatism, and a tacit code of personal ethics, often shaped by necessity rather than societal expectation. In Furya, Riddick is confronted with responsibilities that challenge these principles. He must weigh individual survival against the welfare of an entire culture, navigate political and social tensions, and make ethically fraught decisions that carry significant consequences. These internal struggles may be depicted through reflective sequences, interactions with Furyan elders or young warriors, and moments of confrontation with his past decisions. By juxtaposing high-stakes action with moral and psychological introspection, the film allows audiences to witness Riddick's transformation from solitary anti-hero to a figure capable of leadership, empathy, and cultural stewardship, all while maintaining the ambiguous moral complexity that has defined him throughout the series. Cinematically, Furya is expected to employ an advanced visual language to enhance storytelling. Lighting design may contrast the harsh natural environments with the ceremonial or sacred spaces of Furyan culture, using color, shadow, and contrast to evoke mood and thematic resonance. The film is likely to use dynamic camera techniques during action sequences, such as tracking shots, handheld movement, and high-speed pans, to immerse audiences in the intensity of combat. Conversely, wide shots and slow pans may highlight the vastness of Furya's landscapes, the scale of environmental hazards, and the isolation of characters within these settings. Practical sets combined with CGI effects can create a tactile and immersive alien world, ensuring that creatures, terrain, and architecture feel believable within the narrative framework. Sound design will likely play an equally important role, blending environmental ambience, creature effects, and a musical score that alternates between tension, reflection, and epic grandeur, creating a multisensory cinematic experience. The interplay of set design, costumes, and props will further communicate narrative and thematic elements. Furyan architecture may reflect a fusion of practicality and cultural symbolism, with fortified structures, communal gathering areas, and ceremonial sites highlighting both survival needs and spiritual traditions. Costuming may emphasize combat readiness, cultural identity, and hierarchy within the Furyan communities, distinguishing different roles while reinforcing the visual storytelling. Props, from ancestral weapons to technological devices, can serve as narrative anchors, linking Riddick's present struggles with historical context, cultural continuity, and the technological landscape of the interstellar setting. Speculative climactic sequences may combine these cinematic and narrative elements in a high-stakes resolution. Riddick could lead the Furyans in a coordinated defense against the antagonist, navigating environmental hazards, alien threats, and internal dissent. These sequences are likely to integrate action, strategy, and moral decision-making, emphasizing the synthesis of Riddick's combat skills, leadership abilities, and ethical deliberation. The resolution may see a reaffirmation of Furyan culture, the consolidation of Riddick's role within it, and potential foreshadowing of broader interstellar consequences, leaving room for future narrative exploration. In conclusion, Riddick, Furya appears poised to blend intense action, layered world-building, cultural and spiritual exploration, and character-driven psychological depth. By situating Riddick within the rich and perilous environment of his home planet, confronting him with moral and strategic dilemmas, and exploring the surviving Furyan culture, the film has the potential to redefine the franchise's narrative scope while preserving the anti-heroic essence that has defined Riddick for over 2 decades. The combination of intricate visual storytelling, thematic complexity, and suspenseful action sequences ensures that Furya will offer both longtime fans and new audiences a deeply immersive and emotionally resonant cinematic experience. Speculatively, Riddick, Furya may include several narrative twists designed to challenge audience expectations and deepen the moral complexity of the story. One potential twist could involve the true nature of the new antagonist. Rather than a conventional external enemy, they might be a faction of Furyans who survived Riddick's absence but developed radically different values, creating ideological conflict. This would force Riddick to confront not only physical threats but also philosophical and moral dilemmas, testing his ability to reconcile differing visions for the future of his people. Another possible twist could involve the discovery of hidden secrets about Furya's past, a forgotten technology, a lost colony, or a suppressed prophecy, that dramatically alters Riddick's understanding of his heritage and responsibilities. Such revelations would align with the franchise's history of blending action-driven plots with layered mythology, ensuring that audiences are engaged both intellectually and emotionally. Plot surprises may also arise through environmental hazards or alien species that challenge Riddick in unforeseen ways. Creatures previously thought extinct predators with adaptive intelligence, or volatile planetary conditions could create unexpected obstacles, requiring improvisation and strategy rather than straightforward combat. These elements would reinforce the franchise's emphasis on survival, cunning, and adaptability, highlighting Riddick's ability to navigate a universe that is both physically and morally hazardous. By combining these surprises with character-driven dilemmas, the film can maintain narrative momentum while adding complexity to the action sequences, ensuring that spectacle and story remain tightly interwoven. In terms of the film's ending, it is likely to blend resolution with ambiguity, consistent with the tone of previous Riddick entries. Riddick may secure the immediate survival of the Furyans and neutralize the antagonist, but the consequences of his actions, both for Furya and for the wider galaxy, may remain unresolved. This approach allows for a satisfying conclusion to the central narrative while preserving opportunities for future sequels, spin-offs, or expanded universe stories. The ending may also include moments of introspection, where Riddick reflects on the costs of leadership, the loss endured by his people, and the personal sacrifices required to protect them. Post-credit sequences could further tease interstellar ramifications, hinting at new threats, alliances, or unexplored worlds, maintaining audience anticipation for subsequent installments. Comparatively, Furya appears to synthesize elements from all previous films in the franchise. Pitch Black emphasized survival and resourcefulness in a hostile alien environment, introducing Riddick as a lethal, enigmatic anti-hero. The Chronicles of Riddick expanded the universe to include interstellar politics, religious fanaticism, and the broader mythology of the Furyans. Riddick, 2013, returned to the survivalist core, highlighting Riddick's ingenuity and physical prowess. Furya seems poised to integrate these threads, combining high-octane action, interstellar stakes, cultural depth, and character-driven exploration into a cohesive narrative. This integration reinforces Riddick's evolution as a character, portraying him not merely as a survivor but as a figure capable of leadership, moral reflection, and engagement with the legacy of his people. The long-term implications for the franchise are significant. By focusing on Riddick's home world and the surviving Furyans, the film opens avenues for narrative expansion, including sequels that explore interstellar conflicts, political intrigue, or the rebuilding of the Furyan civilization. Spin-offs could explore individual characters, alien species, or previously unseen regions of the galaxy, creating a broader universe while maintaining narrative coherence. The film's approach also positions Riddick as a more multidimensional character, balancing the solitary anti-hero persona with the responsibilities of leadership and cultural preservation, ensuring sustained audience investment in his story. From a thematic perspective, Furya continues the franchise's exploration of survival, identity, and morality while introducing new dimensions of cultural continuity, ethical responsibility, and the consequences of leadership. The combination of visceral action sequences, intricate world building, and reflective character arcs ensures that the film appeals to both fans seeking spectacle and those interested in narrative depth. By balancing these elements, Furya has the potential to redefine the franchise's trajectory, enriching the Riddick universe while maintaining the core appeal that has defined it for over 2 decades. Cinematically, the film is expected to use visual storytelling to reinforce narrative and thematic elements. Lighting contrasts, color palettes, and shot composition may differentiate between action sequences, cultural exploration, and introspective moments, guiding audience perception and emotional response. Practical effects combined with CGI are likely to enhance the realism of alien environments, creatures, and technology, ensuring immersion while maintaining the tactile quality that has been a hallmark of the series. Sound design, music, and ambient effects can further reinforce tension, emotional resonance, and world building, creating a cohesive sensory experience that complements the narrative. Ultimately, Riddick, Furya promises to be a transformative chapter in the Riddick franchise, synthesizing action, world building, mythology, and character evolution into a cinematic experience that is both thrilling and emotionally resonant. By confronting Riddick with physical, moral, and cultural challenges, exploring the complexities of Furyan society, and introducing compelling new threats, the film sets the stage for future storytelling while honoring the legacy of the franchise. It represents both a continuation and a deepening of the narrative, providing audiences with an immersive and richly layered journey into the universe of Riddick. The speculative chronological arc of Riddick, Furya likely begins with a prologue that sets the stakes and re-establishes Riddick as a solitary figure navigating a hostile, alien environment. He may be depicted surviving a high-risk mission on a distant planet or evading bounty hunters, showcasing his combat prowess, agility, and resourcefulness. These opening scenes are designed to remind audiences of his lethal capabilities while subtly referencing his Furyan heritage through dialogue, flashbacks, or symbolic imagery. Brief glimpses of Furya's past glory, possibly through holographic records, ruins, or ancestral monuments, may foreshadow his upcoming journey home, creating a narrative bridge between his current isolation and the larger stakes awaiting him. Following the prologue, Riddick's arrival on Furya marks the narrative's transition from survival-focused sequences to cultural and political exploration. The initial scenes on the planet could depict him cautiously observing surviving Furyan communities, hidden settlements, or fortified enclaves. Here, the film introduces supporting characters, each representing different philosophies, roles, or allegiances within the Furyan population. Some may advocate for immediate mobilization against external threats, while others could prioritize preservation, diplomacy, or isolation. These interactions set the stage for internal tension, moral dilemmas, and character-driven conflicts, highlighting Riddick's unique position as both a warrior and the symbolic last hope of his people. Early encounters with the antagonist or their minions may establish the external threat. These scenes might involve reconnaissance, skirmishes, or sabotage that force Riddick to quickly adapt. The antagonist could exploit Furya's natural hazards, use advanced technology, or manipulate local factions, creating unpredictable challenges. Riddick's responses demonstrate his intelligence, ingenuity, and combat skills, while also emphasizing the necessity of collaboration with the Furyans. These sequences serve dual purposes, building suspense and reinforcing narrative themes of leadership, trust, and the interplay between instinctive survival and strategic foresight. Midway through the film, key action sequences likely escalate, blending environmental hazards, alien species, and complex tactical engagements. Riddick may lead Furyan forces across treacherous terrain, contend with predators native to Furya, and engage in combat with the antagonist's troops. These sequences highlight his adaptability and combat expertise while reinforcing the stakes of the narrative. Interspersed with these action set-pieces are reflective moments, cultural ceremonies, intimate dialogues with Furyan elders or allies, and moral deliberations, that deepen Riddick's character arc and explore the psychological burdens of leadership and responsibility. The interplay of physical and psychological challenges ensures that the audience experiences both suspense and emotional resonance. As the climax approaches, the narrative likely converges into a high-stakes sequence involving multiple layers of conflict, environmental hazards, combat against the antagonist, and internal disputes among Furyan factions. Riddick may need to mediate conflicts, rally disparate groups, and make ethically fraught decisions to ensure survival. The antagonist may employ strategic surprises or leverage Furyan cultural vulnerabilities, forcing Riddick to balance brute strength, cunning, and moral judgment. This convergence emphasizes the film's dual narrative arc, external survival and internal evolution, culminating in a resolution that tests Riddick's physical, mental, and ethical capabilities. The resolution may depict Riddick securing the survival of the Furyans, neutralizing the antagonist, and reconciling his role within the cultural and political fabric of his home planet. Rather than a simple victory, the ending may emphasize cost, consequence, and reflection. The surviving Furyans may acknowledge Riddick as a leader or symbolic figure while maintaining autonomy, illustrating the balance between individual influence and communal agency. This nuanced conclusion allows for narrative satisfaction while preserving ambiguity for potential sequels or spin-offs. Speculative post-credit sequences could expand the interstellar scope, hinting at unresolved threats, new allies, or emerging political dynamics. These scenes would maintain audience engagement and establish continuity for future storytelling within the Riddick universe. They may reveal hidden technology, messages from distant factions, or cryptic warnings, emphasizing that while Furya's immediate crisis is resolved, the galaxy remains a dangerous, complex environment. Throughout this chronological progression, the film is likely to maintain a rhythm that alternates between intense action, suspense, cultural exploration, and reflective character development. This structure ensures engagement across multiple audience expectations, fans of visceral combat, speculative world-building, and narrative-driven, character-focused science fiction. Riddick's evolution, from solitary survivor to culturally aware leader, is interwoven with the external conflicts, environmental challenges, and moral dilemmas he faces, creating a cohesive and compelling cinematic experience. Within Riddick, Furya, the supporting Furyan characters are likely to serve as both narrative foils and allies, each representing different aspects of their culture, philosophy, and approach to survival. One character may be a Furyan elder or warrior who embodies traditional values, emphasizing honor, adherence to rituals, and the preservation of cultural heritage. This character could challenge Riddick's pragmatic, survival-driven instincts, prompting moments of moral and philosophical reflection. Another supporting Furyan may represent a younger generation, unburdened by the history of loss, who admires Riddick yet questions his methods, advocating for innovation or unorthodox strategies. These contrasting perspectives allow the film to explore intergenerational tensions, leadership challenges, and the evolution of cultural identity. A potential antagonist within the Furyan community, a rival claiming leadership or harboring resentment toward Riddick, could further heighten interpersonal tension, forcing alliances, confrontations, and difficult decisions that emphasize the stakes of unity versus division. Technology and weaponry in Furya are expected to play a central role in both combat and narrative progression. Furyans may employ a combination of traditional melee weapons, advanced energy-based armaments, and defensive technology adapted to Furya's environment. Riddick's familiarity with improvisation and unconventional tactics allows him to leverage these tools creatively, whether modifying weaponry to counter environmental hazards or using terrain to strategic advantage. The antagonist may possess technologically superior forces, including drones, mechanized units, or enhanced soldiers, requiring Riddick and his allies to integrate stealth, guerrilla tactics, and tactical ingenuity to survive. This interplay of technology and strategy reinforces the narrative themes of adaptability, resourcefulness, and intelligence over brute force alone. Tactical sequences may be staged across varied landscapes, from jagged cliffs and subterranean caverns to dense forests and urban ruins. These environments are not merely backdrops, they actively shape the combat dynamics and narrative tension. Riddick may orchestrate ambushes, leverage natural choke points, or exploit weaknesses in enemy formations, illustrating his evolution from a lone survivor to a strategic leader. Supporting characters contribute by coordinating squads, providing specialized knowledge of terrain, or defending critical positions, emphasizing collaborative problem-solving and the importance of trust within a cohesive unit. This tactical layer adds depth to action sequences, integrating story, character, and spectacle. Thematic symbolism is woven throughout environmental and creature design. Alien predators may reflect the dangers of unchecked aggression, territoriality, or instinctive violence, serving as metaphors for Riddick's internal struggles or the broader threats facing Furyan society. Hazardous terrain, such as crumbling cliffs, volcanic zones, or toxic swamps, symbolizes the fragility and resilience of life on Furya, as well as the precarious balance between survival and ethical action. Architectural elements, relics, and ceremonial sites reinforce cultural continuity and ancestral legacy, visually emphasizing the tension between loss and regeneration. Even technological devices can serve symbolic purposes, representing knowledge, power, or the ethical ambiguities of wielding advanced capabilities. Through these visual and narrative cues, the film reinforces its central themes without relying solely on exposition. Riddick's psychological and moral journey is amplified through these interactions with supporting characters, technology, and environment. He must navigate conflicting advice, generational tensions, and ethical dilemmas, balancing his instinctive desire for autonomy with emerging responsibilities toward the Furyans. Moments of introspection may occur following high-stakes combat, when Riddick considers the implications of his choices, weighs the costs of survival, or reflects on the legacy of his people. This continuous interplay between action and reflection ensures that character development is inseparable from the narrative momentum, creating a multidimensional protagonist whose decisions resonate both emotionally and thematically. Speculative mid-to-late sequences could involve coordinated assaults on antagonist strongholds, environmental survival challenges, and culturally significant rites that integrate combat with ceremonial meaning. For instance, a climactic battle may take place at a sacred site, forcing Riddick to reconcile strategic objectives with respect for Furyan traditions. Such sequences provide opportunities for visually striking cinematography, integrating practical and digital effects to convey both grandeur and danger. The juxtaposition of moral and physical stakes in these sequences emphasizes the film's narrative ambition. Action and spectacle serve as vehicles for thematic exploration, rather than existing in isolation. By the film's resolution, supporting characters may have evolved alongside Riddick, their arcs reflecting personal growth, reconciliation, or the forging of new societal structures. Riddick himself emerges not merely as a survivor but as a figure capable of leadership, ethical discernment, and cultural stewardship. The integration of these elements, supporting character dynamics, tactical strategies, technological tools, environmental hazards, and symbolic storytelling, ensures that Furya maintains a layered, immersive experience that satisfies fans of action, science fiction, and character-driven narratives alike.